Welcome to 4K Rare Coins, where today we're uncovering some of the most fascinating quarter-dollar coins ever minted. From the 1965 quarter that marks a historic change in U.S. coinage to the elusive 1992 D, the iconic 1943 silver quarter, and rare finds like the 1967 and 1983 P, these coins have stories and values that might just surprise you. Stick around as we reveal what makes each of these top quarters so special and how they could be worth far more than you'd think. The Washington quarter-dollar coin is one of the most popular and recognizable coins in the United States. It was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday. The design, created by artist John Flanagan, shows a profile of Washington on the front of the coin, and on the back, there's an image of an eagle. Over the years, the design has stayed mostly the same, but the coin's metal content and some details have changed. When the Washington quarter was first released, it was made of 90% silver and 10% copper. This meant that the coin had real value based on the silver it contained. However, in 1965, the U.S. Mint decided to change the composition of the coin because of a silver shortage. From that point on, the coin was made of a copper-nickel mix instead of silver. This made the coin much less valuable in terms of precious metals, but the coin's design and value as currency remained the same. One of the biggest things collectors look at when figuring out how much a Washington quarter is worth is the year it was minted. For example, quarters made from 1932 to 1964 are worth more because they contain silver. The value of these coins depends on the current price of silver, which can change over time. If a coin is in great condition or if it's a rare year, like a 1932 D or 1932 S, it could be worth a lot more. For instance, a typical 1964 Washington quarter might be worth about $6 to $7 due to its silver content, but if it's in perfect condition or has a rare mint mark, it could be worth hundreds or more. For quarters made after 1965, the value is mainly based on their rarity and condition. Since these coins don't contain silver, they aren't worth as much in terms of metal. However, some of them can still be valuable because they might have errors in their design or be part of limited edition series. For example, the 50-state quarters program, which started in 1999, made special quarters for each state. These quarters became popular with collectors, and some of them, especially those with errors, can be worth more than their face value. Coins with mistakes, like double images or wrong mint marks, are often worth more because they are rare. If you're wondering how to figure out what your Washington quarters are worth, the first thing to do is check their condition. Coins are graded on a scale, with higher numbers meaning better condition. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin is. There are many online resources where you can find price guides for different types of coins, such as PCGS and NGC. You can also find books that list prices, like the Red Book, the official Red Book of U.S. coins. These guides can help you get a better idea of how much your coins might be worth. Another thing to keep in mind is that special editions and coins that were made in smaller quantities are often more valuable. For example, the 1932 D and 1932 S Washington quarters are rare and highly sought after by collectors. These coins are worth much more than a typical quarter, even in good condition. If you come across a coin like this, it could be a valuable addition to your collection. In conclusion, the Washington quarter is not just an ordinary coin. It has a rich history and can be worth more than its face value, depending on its year, condition, and rarity. If you're a collector or just getting started, understanding the history and value of the Washington quarter is a great place to begin. Always make sure to check your coins carefully, do your research, and if you find a rare one, consider getting it appraised by a professional. Thanks for being part of the coin collecting journey with us. The 1943 Washington quarter is an important coin in U.S. history. It was minted during World War II, a time when the U.S. was using a lot of resources for the war effort. This quarter has the same design as other Washington quarters, with George Washington's profile on the front and an eagle in flight on the back. The coin is made of 90% silver and 10% copper, which was the standard for U.S. quarters at the time. This silver content makes the 1943 quarter valuable for people who collect silver coins. The 1943 Washington quarter was produced in large numbers, about 48 million coins in total, so it's not extremely rare. Because of this, most 1943 quarters found in circulation are worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, the coin can be worth more if it is in good condition or if it has certain errors that collectors look for. If the coin is uncirculated, meaning it hasn't been used in everyday transactions and still looks almost brand new, it could be worth more, sometimes around $10 to $20 or more depending on the condition. Some collectors also look for minting errors on coins, and the 1943 Washington quarter is no exception. One error to watch for is a double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice, causing part of the design to appear doubled. If you find a 1943 quarter with this error, it can be worth more, sometimes $100 or more, depending on how noticeable the doubling is. Another error to look for is an off-center strike, which happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process. This can cause part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. Off-center coins can be worth $50 to $100 or more, depending on how far off-center the strike is. There are also other errors like clipped planchets, which occur when the blank metal disc used to make the coin is not cut properly, leaving a portion of the edge missing. These can also be valuable, sometimes worth $50 or more. Although most 1943 Washington quarters are fairly common and worth only face value, those in better condition or with errors can be worth much more. The value of a coin really depends on its grade, how good the condition is, and whether it has any unique features, like minting mistakes. Many collectors focus on finding coins that are in high-grade condition, such as MS-65 or higher, which means the coin looks almost perfect. A high-grade 1943 Washington quarter could sell for $30 to $50, and sometimes even more. Another thing that makes the 1943 Washington quarter interesting is that it was made during a time of change. The U.S. was in the middle of World War II, and the economy was shifting. Some collectors enjoy owning coins from this historical time period because it gives them a connection to that moment in history. Plus, since the coin is made from silver, it's also valuable for people who collect silver coins. The 1992 D Washington quarter is part of the regular series of quarters minted by the U.S. Mint, but it has its own specific characteristics that collectors look for. It was minted in Denver, hence the D mint mark, and, like other Washington quarters, features the image of George Washington on the front and an eagle on the back. In terms of value, the 1992 D Washington quarter is generally worth around its face value of 25 cents if it's in typical circulated condition. However, its value can increase if it's in excellent condition, like a high-grade uncirculated coin, or if it has any rare minting errors. The 1992 D Washington quarter isn't particularly rare, as it was minted in large numbers. Over 600 million of these quarters were made. But some factors can make it more valuable. Coins that are in mint condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher, can fetch a higher price than their face value. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. If you find a 1992 D quarter with a minting error, like a double die or a misaligned strike, it could be worth more to collectors. These types of mistakes are rare and can significantly increase the value of the coin. For example, a 1992 D quarter with a significant error can be worth $10 or more, depending on the nature of the error and its condition. However, typical 1992 D quarters in circulated condition will usually be worth just 25 cents. While the 1992 D Washington quarter may not be one of the most valuable quarters in the series, it's still a coin worth keeping an eye on, especially if you come across one in excellent condition or with a rare error. If you're interested in adding it to your collection, be sure to check the condition and any unique features that might make it stand out. The 1972 D Washington quarter is a coin that's often seen in circulation, but it holds interest for collectors due to a few factors. It's part of the long-running Washington quarter series which started in 1932, and it's notable for being a D-mint coin, meaning it was produced at the Denver Mint. The 1972 D quarter, like other coins from that time, is made from a copper-nickel blend and has a classic design. Even though it's not as rare as some other coins, collectors still keep an eye out for it, especially if it's in good condition or has specific errors. The design of the 1972 D quarter remains the same as earlier Washington quarters. On the front, you'll find a profile of George Washington, the first President of the United States, created by artist John Flanagan. Above Washington's head, the word Liberty is inscribed, and below it, the year 1972 is shown. The phrase, "In God We Trust," appears to the left of Washington's profile. On the back, the quarter displays an eagle in flight with the words, "United States of America," around the top and "E pluribus unum," near the eagle's wings. The words, "quarter dollar," are at the bottom, showing the coin's value. In terms of composition, the 1972 D Washington quarter is made from 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, which was standard for U.S. quarters after the 1965 switch away from silver. This composition was a response to rising silver prices, which made it too expensive to continue minting coins with a high silver content. The mintage for the 1972 D Washington quarter was quite large, with over 350 million coins being struck that year. This high mintage means that the 1972 D quarter is not particularly rare. For this reason, most of these coins can still be found in circulation or in coin collections, and their value is typically only 25 cents in average condition. However, there are some factors that can make certain 1972 D quarters worth more to collectors. The value of the 1972 D Washington quarter generally depends on its condition and whether it has any minting errors. A quarter in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been in circulation and has remained in perfect shape, may be worth a little more than its face value, typically around $1 or slightly more. Coins that have been graded by professional grading services and are in high mint state, such as MS-65 or higher, can also fetch a premium, sometimes reaching $5 to $10 or more. One of the main reasons collectors are interested in the 1972 D Washington quarter is because of certain errors that were made during its minting. For example, double die errors can happen when the coin is struck more than once, resulting in doubled lettering or details. In some cases, a double die error on a 1972 D quarter can be worth significantly more, anywhere from $50 to $100 or more, depending on the severity of the doubling. These coins are much rarer than the standard 1972 D quarters and are highly sought after by collectors. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned during minting, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. Off-center strikes can vary in severity, and coins with large, noticeable errors could be worth $20 to $100 or even more, depending on the extent of the misalignment. Other potential errors include clipped planchets or die cracks, which can also make the coin more valuable. While the 1972 D Washington quarter may not be a rare coin in general, its historical significance and the possibility of finding a rare error make it interesting for both casual collectors and seasoned numismatists. Whether you're just starting a collection or you've been collecting for years, the 1972 D Washington quarter is a good coin to look out for. The thrill of finding a rare error or a coin in mint condition is what keeps the hobby of coin collecting exciting and full of surprises. The 1983 P Washington quarter is part of the regular coin series minted in the United States. It features the classic design of George Washington, the first U.S. president, on the front, and an eagle on the back. The 1983 P is made from copper nickel, which was a change made in 1965, as the U.S. Mint stopped using silver for most circulating coins. The coin is not rare, with over 677 million quarters being produced that year at the Philadelphia Mint. Because of the high mintage, the typical 1983 P Washington quarter you find in circulation is worth only its face value of 25 cents. The coin has an image of George Washington's profile on the front, with the word Liberty above, and In God We Trust to the left of his image. The year 1983 is located at the bottom. The back shows an eagle in flight with the words United States of America and E pluribus unum around it, with the words quarter dollar at the bottom. The mint mark P on the coin means it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. The design of the coin has been the same since 1932, with only small updates over the years. The 1983 P Washington quarter is made from a blend of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. This was part of the change that happened in 1965 when the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in regular circulating coins. This switch was made because of the rising cost of silver and the need for a more affordable way to mint coins. Because it's not made from silver, the 1983 P quarter has no special value based on the metal itself. Although the 1983 P quarter isn't rare, its value can increase if the coin is in excellent condition or if it has minting errors. A typical 1983 P quarter found in your pocket change is worth 25 cents. However, if the coin is in mint condition, meaning it hasn't been used in circulation and has no visible wear or scratches, it could be worth $1 or a little more. Some proof coins from this year, which were specially made for collectors, might be worth more, possibly around $5 to $10, depending on their quality. Coins with errors are the ones that collectors get excited about, and the 1983 P Washington quarter is no exception. Some of the errors that could make a 1983 P quarter more valuable include double die errors, where part of the design appears doubled, misplaced mint marks, where the P mint mark might be in the wrong place or missing, or off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't aligned properly when it was stamped. These errors are rare, but when found, they can make the coin worth more. For example, a double die error on a 1983 P quarter could be worth $50 to $100 or more, depending on the size and clarity of the mistake. Other errors, like clipped planchets or die cracks, could also add extra value to the coin. Even though the 1983 P Washington quarter is not rare in general, collectors still find it interesting because it's part of a transition period in U.S. coinage. The year 1983 is significant because it marks the beginning of the modern era of quarters, with the change from silver to copper-nickel coins. For anyone starting out in coin collecting, the 1983 P quarter is a good coin to add to a collection, especially if it's in uncirculated condition or has a rare error. If you're looking for one of these quarters in your collection, remember that condition matters. A quarter in great condition might be worth more than one that has been circulated and worn down. Even though most 1983 P quarters aren't worth more than their face value, it's always worth checking for any errors, as a mistake in the minting process can turn an ordinary coin into something much more valuable. In the end, the 1983 P Washington quarter is a reminder of how changes in coin design and minting processes can shape the value of a coin. While it might not make you a fortune, it's still an important coin in the long history of U.S. currency and a great one to study for anyone interested in the world of numismatics. So next time you find one, take a closer look. It could be worth more than you think. Imagine flipping through your coin jar and stumbling upon a 1967 Washington quarter that could be worth up to $78,000. Sounds unbelievable, right? But it's true. The 1967 Washington quarter isn't just any ordinary coin. If you find the right error, it could make you thousands of dollars. Today, we're going to dive into the exciting world of rare 1967 Washington quarter-dollar error coins, explore the mind-blowing value these rare finds can have, and teach you how to spot one in your collection. Stay tuned, because you won't want to miss the shocking prices these coins have been selling for at auction. In 1967, the Washington quarter underwent a significant change in its composition. Due to the silver shortage of the 1960s, the U.S. Mint stopped using silver in quarters, switching to a copper-nickel blend. This marked a new chapter in the history of U.S. coinage, but it didn't stop at just a change in metal. Many rare error coins were produced in 1967, and some of these coins have become highly valuable collector's items. The 1967 Washington quarter wasn't just a regular coin, it was one that introduced imperfections, and those imperfections have made a few lucky collectors rich. The 1967 Washington quarter with certain errors can sell for thousands of dollars, sometimes even in the $25,000 to $43,000 range, depending on the rarity and condition of the coin. But some of the most extraordinary errors can go for $78,000 or even more at auction. Here are some of the key errors that make these quarters so valuable. One of the most famous errors to look out for in the 1967 Washington quarter is the double die. This happens when the die, the metal stamp used to strike coins, makes multiple impressions on the coin. The result is a blurry or doubled image on parts of the coin, most often on the letters and numbers. Double dies are incredibly rare, and the value of a 1967 Washington quarter with a double die error can range anywhere from $10,000 to $78,000 depending on its clarity and the extent of the doubling. If you find one, this coin could be worth more than any regular quarter you've ever seen. Another sought-after error is the misplaced mint mark. In this case, the mint mark, which tells you where the coin was made, is stamped in the wrong place or is incorrectly positioned. For the 1967 Washington quarter, this could mean the mint mark is missing entirely, or it could appear on the wrong part of the coin. This error is incredibly rare, and a misplaced mint mark on a 1967 quarter could fetch anywhere between $25,000 to $43,000. For a coin that's still a regular Washington quarter on the surface, finding this error can be a life-changing discovery. An off-center strike is when the coin is not aligned properly when it's struck, causing part of the design to be cut off or misshaped. In some cases, these off-center strikes can result in dramatic, distorted images that are highly collectible. A severely off-center 1967 Washington quarter can be worth $15,000 or more, depending on how far off-center the strike is and the overall condition of the coin. The more extreme the error, the higher the price tag. A clipped planchet occurs when a blank coin disc is not fully punched out from the metal sheet, leaving a portion of the edge missing. For a 1967 Washington quarter, a clipped planchet can increase its value to $5,000 to $10,000, depending on the size and location of the clip. These errors are rarer than you might think, making them highly desirable for collectors. So, why do these error coins become so valuable? The answer is simple: rarity and demand. Error coins are unique, each one is different from the rest, and that scarcity makes them much more sought after by collectors. In the case of the 1967 Washington quarter, the sheer number of coins minted makes the few that have errors especially rare. The rarity factor, combined with the historical importance of the coin and its unique imperfections, means that these coins can fetch thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars, at auction. In fact, some of the most extreme error coins have sold for up to $78,000. Imagine holding a coin that you found in your pocket or collection that could be worth that much money. It's an incredible feeling, and it's the kind of discovery that has turned casual coin collectors into instant millionaires. You might be wondering how you can tell if you have one of these rare, high-value 1967 Washington quarter errors. Here are a few tips to help you. Examine the lettering and numbers. Look closely at the inscriptions, like Liberty or the date, 1967. If you notice any doubling or unclear lines, you could be looking at a double die error. Check for mint mark issues. See if the mint mark is missing, misplaced, or oddly positioned. Inspect the edges. Look for any missing portions along the edge of the coin, which could indicate a clipped planchet. Look for misalignments. An off-center strike can make a quarter look distorted, so check for any part of the design that's missing or cut off. Point 33.